everyone, this is Peter Harris welcoming you to another episode of 10 Questions with a Musical Mind. Today we welcome Mitch Malloy, who of course has had a long solo career of his own, as well as some highlights. He was briefly in Van Halen, and he's got some stories to tell about that. But mostly we're concentrating on his new gig with legendary band Great White. So we delve a little bit into his songwriting process, how he does everything on his own for his solo work, as well as what he's looking forward to with his new band. Hope you enjoy this, and as well, when you're done, be sure to check out my website, The Peter Principles. That's peters-principles.com, as well as head over to Great White's site to check out their new live dates coming up with Mitch. And I hope you enjoy this interview. Hello, Mitch. How are you today?
Great. How are you?
I'm doing well, doing well. Thank you for taking the time to call me. Appreciate it.
Absolutely.
Nice to finally meet you of sorts.
Yeah, man.
Well, go ahead.
I said digitally.
Right, digitally. You've got a lot of exciting things going on. Obviously, your new gig with Great White, and you've played with them now live. So, how's that been so far?
It's been really amazing. I mean, it was extremely nerve-wracking because I went into it, it's like I had to learn the whole show.
Sure.
So that was pretty nerve-wracking, and I pretty much learned everything, memorized the lyrics, and kind of had it ready to go, which was a lot of work, but it's been a blast. Now, how many shows? I've done 3 shows with them now.
Okay.
Two different weekends, because the first weekend there was only one show, but that was like, what a week that was. Oof.
How does that work? I've wondered that before. Like, when you step into a situation like this with a band that's got a big catalog, as far as learning all those songs, like, do they write them out for you or give you like print off files? Because the reason I ask is there's songs by bands that I love my whole life, and I've been listening to for 30, 40 years, and I still don't know what some of the lyrics are of the songs. Like there's a line there or this little 10-second blurb where I'm making up jumbo. There's got to be situations of that in every band.
Yeah, you can't quite, maybe you can't quite hear it. It's right. Some of the mixes on the early stuff, the vocal was not very loud in the mix, honestly. Right. I found out, as I of course heard this stuff back then, but I'd forgotten. Right. So it's a whole different thing when you're trying to understand what the lyric is. It's like, what? Right. Yeah. So it's a lot of work, and but really good work, really fun work, and really gratifying, and it's an interesting thing because I've been offered different situations, and I've been offered situations that people don't know about because I don't talk about it. Sure. That I've ended up not taking because I'll dig into the catalog, into the show, and maybe find out that I didn't like the music as much as I thought. Sure. And I think, do I really want to do this? Right. And that's happened to me. So this situation was the opposite because I wasn't familiar with the catalog, and I was familiar with the hits, which I really liked. Right. Liked the vibe of the band, the style of the band, always liked them. So I go and I dig into the show, and I'm like, I like that song. I like that song. Yeah. I like that song. I like that song. This rocks. I didn't know that they rocked this hard. This is cool. Just stuff like that. It's like, it was really fun. And, kind of surprising in a way that I just like, That's great. Because I'm a songwriter and a producer, so I'm like picky.
And of the, I know most of it's based in blues anyway, but of the quote unquote 80s guitarists or who came to prominence in the 80s, Mark Kendall always had a way more identifiable blues sound than a lot of bands.
Absolutely. And very much, he and I are both huge Billy Gibbons fans. Okay, yeah. ZZ Top. Sure. That was one of my first influences on guitar was Billy Gibbons and his. And that's another thing. As I dig into the catalog and I'm digging into the songs and I'm listening to him play, I'm like, dude, you have Billy Gibbons like all over you, man. Like, it's in there, like whoa. And he's like, thank you.
Somebody finally noticed, yeah.
Yeah, it's like his huge influence. One of his huge influences.
Well, I was gonna say, speaking of that, you're a multi-instrumentalist. How many instruments do you play, and which one did you pick up first?
I started singing when I was 6.
Okay.
That was my first instrument was this. And then I think it was piano, and then guitar, and then drums, and then bass, and then electric guitar. Yeah, and I don't know what else I play. Oh, I play a harmonica. I play a harmonica in the show, actually.
Okay.
Yeah, which is the first time I've done that since probably 1988. Wow. I did that a little bit in the Malloy band way back before I had a deal. In fact, Stevie from Kix kind of gave me some pointers on how to play harmonica backstage when I opened for them. So I go way back, to that time.
Sure, yeah.
Yeah, so I don't know. I'm a musical guy. I just pick things up and play them. And being a producer, I pretty much live in the studio, which is what you're seeing here, my studio. You can't see the real nice parts over there, but when you're making records for artists, like I've been doing for the last, I don't know, million years, something needs to be done, and that person maybe isn't there.
Okay.
And it needs to happen. And I've always been the kind of guy that like just does stuff. Like if it needs to be done, I just do it. So I just pick up that instrument and come up with a part for the record and play it. And so that's really how I became a multi-instrumentalist, because I'm a producer. Otherwise,
gotcha.
I'm not the kind of guy who goes, oh, I want to play that, or oh, I want to play that instrument. I'm not like the guy who's reaching for instruments just to play them to kill time. I learned how to play all these instruments to make records.
Gotcha.
So then you had to be proficient doing it because you're going on to tape.
Right. Yeah.
So it's kind of like,
Yeah.
So,
that's
so I'm not a great musician by any stretch. Like I'm not a great instrumentalist, I should say, by any stretch. I can play things in parts and sections, but I'm not like a Mark Kendall or, I'm not like a great instrumentalist.
You hold your own, though. You hold your own, definitely. And one thing off topic I want to mention, I'm going to jump around a little bit, but your 2016 album, Making Noise, where you did actually do everything, I want to commend you as far as a producer. You were one of the guys who has avoided the current trend, I should say, or trap of brick walling everything. Like I still hear the separation between the instruments, and the mix is clean where I can still pick out the bass line. It's not all just volume 10 on everything. Like I can still hear the separation. It just breathes a lot better. So I definitely appreciate that.
That's a huge compliment, because that is something that is so hard, difficult to attain and still compete with the volume that everybody's now used to.
Right.
I mean, and I'll take your compliment, but I can't fully agree with you. Like I could do so much better in that regard. Like, you know what I mean? Like that is so hard to do.
Yeah.
As an engineer, that's probably the biggest challenge that I have.
Right.
Is what you just complimented me on it, which nobody's ever complimented me on. So.
Well, and I'm sure it's a double-edged sword, because you got so many people who are listening to music on earbuds and iPhones, and it's not coming out the same way as it did on a 16-inch Celestion woofer.
Yeah. In fact, I started doing one of my, as a mixer, you tend to have different sources, and you can push buttons and have different sources. And my setup is such a way where I can do that, really. I have drastically different sources, so I can hit and just check things. Like if I can hear this, if I can hear that, and somebody's listening on that kind of stuff, let me hear what they're hearing and that kind of thing. So one of the things I incorporated was these.
Yeah.
Because
That's
millions of people are listening on this.
yeah.
It's so funny because I was talking to Wagner one day.
Uh-huh.
It's like, dude, I actually use the iPhone earbuds to mix it. He goes, I'm like, hey, people are listening on those.
That's pretty smart to check what it's going to sound like on every. Yeah, that's pretty neat.
Yeah.
Talk about Great White. Now, how did this come about? Like, did you know Mark and the guys personally or professionally, or?
Well, I just mentioned Michael Wagner. So Michael
Right.
Wagner and I are friends now for quite a few years,
Mm-hmm.
and I've been to his studio many times, and he will call me to invite me, to come in and sing on various records. So,
Sure.
so when he was producing the new Great White record, he texted me and said, "I'm producing a new Great White record. Can you come and sing on this day?" And I'm like, "Yeah, sure." So I made some time and took a drive and went out there, and they're there. The Great White guys were there. So I walk in, they're there. So I got to meet them, and that was the first time ever meeting them.
Okay.
And then and it was just like a good vibe. Like they just seemed like really cool people. They were really nice to me.
Mm-hmm.
They seemed to know who I was, which I thought was, I never expect anybody ever is going to know who I am. So when somebody does, it's like bonus.
Right.
So yeah, they were really nice, and we did the thing, and that went great. And I just sang backgrounds, to be clear.
Right.
And then I saw them on the cruise, and again they were really nice. And I never thought ever that I would end up being in their band. The thought never occurred to me.
Right. It's funny how things like that turn up. I mean,
not once. But same with Van Halen. I never thought they would call either.
Right.
So I'm not the kind of guy who sits around and goes,
right. Who could I? Yeah.
They call me.
Well, now that you've recorded, now that you've played with them live, I'm sure you're itching to get recording. I know Full Circle has just come out recently, but I'm sure you want to get down on vinyl.
Yeah. I think probably 2019 we'll make a record. I would think. I mean, that's one of the first things Mark talked about. It's one of the first things I talked about with Michael.
Yeah.
That they're excited. They like what I do, in that regard, and they're really excited to see, what the collaboration will bring.
Yeah, I'm going to jump ahead because one of my questions I was going to say when I spoke to Mark Kendall recently, he seemed real excited about the fact that you're not only a singer and songwriter, but you're a producer and engineer. So he's kind of, excited to have another person who can visualize the big picture and say, hey, this might work good here, or this might work here. And, not in a step on the producer's shoes kind of way, just sort of somebody else who can, look ahead and see what the end result might look like. So he's excited.
Yeah, that's great to hear. He has mentioned that, he has respect for what I've done, which is nice. It's, that doesn't always happen. When you get into a situation with a band, sometimes it's, people are kind of resistant to where you come from or what you've done, or, so these guys are just like, they've just been like open arms, like,
that's awesome. Yeah.
Yeah. It's been like really almost, hard to believe.
Yeah.
It's been really great.
Well, that's got to be a good feeling. That's awesome.
Yeah, it's brand new though, so
sure.
There have been no fist fights yet.
Right. I want to go back to your album Making Noise, where you performed everything and talking about your engineering and producing and stuff. Was it hard to be objective when you're editing and mixing the songs when everything is you? Does that make sense?
No, no. And people have asked me that before, and I can see why they would ask that, but they've never seen me work. If you've seen me work, I don't think you would ask that, because I have the ability. I don't want to sound, boastful.
Sure.
I don't mean it like that. It's just the way I'm wired somehow.
Mm-hmm.
As a producer, I can hear what shouldn't be happening
Right.
and what needs to happen in most cases. And I don't have an ego attached to how it happens.
Right. That's the other part of my question I was going to ask. Was it actually easier because there's nobody saying, "Hey, don't drown out my bass line"?
Yeah. So I'm only limited by my limitations. As a singer or a player or as a producer,
Mm-hmm.
or and not to say that I have all the right ideas or that somebody else might not have great ones, because somebody else might have great ones and often do. But if I'm there by myself and I have an idea and I can actually achieve it, then that's done.
Right.
So I just move on, boom, 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 like that. And I have to say, I thought it was the most egotistical, pretentious, almost gross kind of thing to try to make a record all by myself. Like why? Like, I mean, I live in Nashville, Tennessee, with the land of the most amazing talent
Right.
in the world. Like,
Right.
there are people here who are freakishly talented
Right.
at what they do. I mean, and there's so many of them.
Right.
It's insane.
Yeah. So you could have gotten whatever players you
but I've
wanted.
already done that.
Right.
Like I've already done that. So I just thought, I just want to make. I had been producing so many things, had so many people in and out. I just actually needed some solitude.
Right.
To be honest,
Makes sense.
I had to make a record, and I needed some peace. So I kind of thought, can I do that? And then I first thought, well, if I do, I'll never admit that I did that, because people will think that's like, why would somebody do that? It's kind of gross in Nashville to do that. That was my original thought.
Were you tempted to call it "I'm Tom Schultz"? No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah, just you think people were just gonna think like, oh, he's an asshole. You know what I mean? Yeah. So, but then I started and I did the first song and I thought that came out pretty good. That sounds. It's still, I can tell that it's just me.
I'm sure you can, yeah.
I can, I can feel it and hear it. It's a little bit, to me, to my ears, and as a producer, I can hear that it's just me. And I knew that going in. I thought, okay, well, even if I can do this, I know in the end I'm going to be like, yeah, that's just me. I can tell.
I can totally see that. It doesn't come across that way to my ears, though. So.
Oh, good.
Yeah. Good. On a song like "Alone," like when you're writing that song, that's off making noise. It's got a lot of background vocals going on, like built up. Do you picture that when you're writing it, or is that something that once you're in the studio, you're experimenting and layering vocal effects? Like, does that just sort of evolve as you're laying down the song?
Yeah, the word "evolve" is a really accurate, good one, because sometimes I'll hear background vocals as soon as the song's written.
Right.
But background vocals in particular is something that usually takes shape at the end.
Makes sense.
Like, where are the holes? Where are things not interesting? Is that where is there some harmonic content missing?
Gotcha.
Where is there a hook missing?
Yeah.
Can I achieve that with background vocals? And then more times than not, I can, because I'm actually best at singing. Right?
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah. So I have that gift. So that one is usually the one that's the easiest for me to achieve.
That makes sense. Now, when you're playing everything yourself, how do you go about physically recording the instruments? Like, you're doing everything. So do you say, like, lay down drums to a click, or do you lay down a rhythm bed to a click and then add drums to that? You know what I'm saying? Like, where do you start when there is no starting point?
I usually start usually start
Mm-hmm.
with the writing, because I've been writing the songs for so long.
Mm-hmm.
With maybe an acoustic guitar or an electric guitar. Now on Making Noise, I pretty much wrote everything on the electric guitar because I wanted it to have, wanted it to rock.
Yeah.
So when you write on acoustic, it tends to be like,
Sure.
not as rock, right? So I wrote I would grab an electric guitar and kind of write the song, and then you kind of hear that beat in your head, and then, then I'll put down, sometimes on some songs, I didn't do it on every song, but on some songs, I would put like a guitar vocal down,
Mm-hmm.
electric guitar, just singing live and playing. So I have the song there. And then I start building the drums around that.
Okay.
Usually. And then I'll do a better guitar part. And then I'll dig into the bass, but the bass is never final. It's just the kind of initial bass. And then I just, maybe do some keyboards, and then I just start building and building, building, building.
Right.
And it's interesting though, because the bass, I always did the bass after the whole thing was done. I would redo the bass and find, again, where does it need some harmonic lift? Does the bass need to go do, 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 or does it need to go boo, do, do? Like, do the notes need to be longer, shorter?
Right.
What kind of a riff on the bass needs to happen there? I mean, the bass is so important. People don't realize.
Oh, yeah.
And Paul McCartney did that. He would do his bass after the song was done. And that's one of the reasons why those Beatle bass parts were so amazing, because
he could hear how to bounce off everything.
He had the advantage of, of being orchestrative. Like it was, and that's how I approach the bass. Same way.
What surprised me about that is I asked recently Billy Sheehan about songwriting, and he said he adds the bass lines last.
Does he?
Yeah, I was like, Billy Sheehan, you add the bass? Like that should be. It just really struck me as funny.
Yeah, because he's like virtuoso.
Oh, absolutely, yeah. But
that's good to know.
Yeah. I'm going to go into my nerd category. When you were set and become the new singer of Van Halen, what was it like when you first walked inside 5150? Was it what you expected, just visually, or?
I don't think I really expected anything. I was just, when I go into those situations, same with Great White, I'm a very single focus kind of guy.
Uh-huh.
So my focus for Van Halen was the same as Great White. It's like, do you know the songs?
Right.
It's like, I'm pretty comfortable in my own skin kind of guy. I was nervous because it's Van Halen, of course, just like I was nervous because it was Great White.
Yeah.
But I'm just like, learn the songs, be in shape, be vocally ready. And that's kind of my focus. I don't really think about too much else.
Right. Which is probably the way to be, yeah.
5150 though, like 5150, I often say that I haven't talked about this in a while, but 5150 like smelled to me like the 70s. Like when I walked in, like it smelled like cigarettes
and Schlitz malt liquor
and tube amps.
Yeah.
And tubes, because I grew up with tube amps, so I know what the smell of tube amps smell like.
Yeah, I know a burn up EL34 when I smell it. Yeah.
Yeah. Right, and Tolex grills have a smell, on the cabinets. That has a smell, and just that's what it smelled. It just smelled like what I remember growing up in the 70s in the rehearsals that we'd have and stuff like that. So it was kind of like going home.
Yeah.
Like walking into 5150 was like, yeah, I know this. It's just the Van Halen this.
Is it like you're just seeing? For me, it would be almost distracting, like because his guitars are such a part of history for me. Like, are you like saying, well, there's the Kramer 5150, there's the Shark, or that? Was it? I mean, are they laying around, or is most of the stuff put up? I mean, is it organized? Is it chaos? Is it?
For Ed, he didn't have many guitars in the control room.
Mm.
There was, I think he was playing the Wolfgang then.
Yeah.
That was his guitar. So I think there was just one. There was just one of those in the
Yeah.
control room, and that was it.
Yeah.
That was the only guitar in there.
Yeah.
And then
Makes sense.
he had a couple. Yeah, he had a couple of amps on the floor, like
Hmm.
stacked up, together. And there was no cabinet in there because his cabinets were out in the big room.
Right.
And he had four cabinets all facing each other in the big room, all mic'd, four mics, four mics, four mics, four mics.
Gotcha. I've seen pictures where he's got a bunch of music on the shelves, and fans always wonder that. Like, is it stuff? Is it? Do you remember seeing the shelves of music? Is it old 2-inch tape, or is it digital? I don't even know if you know what I'm talking about, but
Yeah, that's in a different room.
yeah. Okay.
Yeah, that's that upstairs, and I actually never went up there.
Okay.
I don't know why. I just wasn't comfortable enough to like kind of go
Snoop
rummage
around your yeah. No, I
I was
totally
like,
get that.
yeah.
So what do you think this is a broad question. What do you think your sources of inspiration are? Like mainly when you're writing, is it other people's music or is it life experiences or could it be something as trivial as like, I really like the mood and scenery of this movie I saw last night. I mean,
Yeah, it's kind of everything, It's just something needs to hit you hard enough, to make an impression for you to want to create something around it. Or sometimes it can just be picking up a guitar and you come up with a riff, and that riff causes a melody,
right.
and melody causes words.
Definitely.
Yeah, just like, okay, I'm singing this melody. What does my mouth sound like it's saying? And then you try to pick the best thing that your mouth sounds like it's saying.
Right. Yeah, that makes total sense. It makes total sense. Because I've wondered if people, I mean, I know some people tend to stockpile lyrics. Like, I like this line, I like this line. Some people don't ever do that. They just write for that song. Some people come up with a song first, but some people have a vocal melody and then they try to make music fit a melody they come up with. Which seems...
that happens to me too sometimes, and sometimes even just a groove.
Mm-hmm.
Like, sometimes I write songs just on bass, because it's like a thing, it's like a groove.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, it's kind of like there's really no one way.
Right. And you can kind of tell, sometimes you can kind of tell like when a song's been written like on bass. I mean, like Back in the Saddle, Aerosmith, totally, that bass line wasn't added in at the end. I mean, that's the driving force of the whole song. But, just depends. Sometimes it's obvious.
Yeah, I mean, Queen, Another One Bites the Dust.
Right.
That's John's song. He wrote that.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's definitely. Well, why don't you tell us if you know offhand, what dates or what areas of the country you guys hitting soon or coming up next?
Oh boy!
I had to put you on the spot, Mitch.
Yeah, no, I'm terrible at venue because I'm so new.
Well, that's fine. Well, we can direct everybody to your website.
We're playing. Is this going to air? Is this airing like right away?
No, I'll have to edit everything together and stuff, so it'll be a couple days.
Okay, well, Friday we're in, where are we? Illinois? No, Michigan. On Friday we're in Michigan.
Okay.
Saturday we're in Kentucky. And Monday we're back in Michigan. It's a weird week. Yeah.
Weird, yeah.
Yeah, but just, if you want to see where we're playing, just go to greatwhite.com and the touring page is there and all the gigs are listed.
Yeah, and of course I'll put that up too. Now, will you have the dates like also linked to your personal website? So are you going to try to blend information or are you basically going to let it fall into the official greatwhite.com?
Yeah, I mean we might do that. We hadn't had time yet. I mean everything is moving so fast.
Right.
But yeah, I mean it would stand to reason to put the Great White shows on my site. Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah. When I talked to Mark, literally 12 hours before I talked to Mark Kendall was when your publicist sort of emailed me that you were in the band. I was like, well, I guess I'm rewriting this interview real quick.
Like Mitch Mahoo?
Yeah. Oh no. Trust me. Well, I mean, of course, I didn't know it at the time, but I've been aware of you for years. I mean, the when the Van Halen thing happened, that's when I went back and of course realized that I already knew some of your songs, but I didn't put the name and the songs together at first. But yeah, I've known about you since the '90s. So but yeah, I'm excited, and of course it'll be probably a while, but I'll be excited to hear you put some stuff on tape with these guys, and
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to it. And congratulations. And
Thank you.
I've got to check. I know I've checked before, but now I can't remember if you guys are coming to Tennessee. I don't know if they're going to be. It probably won't be Knoxville, but at least Nashville, maybe.
Yeah, I haven't seen anything. I don't think there's anything on the current schedule for Tennessee. The closest show we have is Louisville, I think.
Yeah.
Or Saturday night. We're in Kentucky somewhere Saturday night. Beaver Dam or something like that.
Yeah, I know Louisville. I don't really know Beaver Dam, but I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know if that's closer than Louisville or not. But then I think in September we're in Louisville.
Worst case scenario, like I said, I grew up in Atlanta, so I know I can always see any show I want to if I go to Atlanta when any band's going there and see it there.
Yeah, we just passed through Atlanta. We were in Macon.
Yeah.
Cool. It was cool.
Well, I'll put all the stuff up there, and once again, it's great talking to you and a pleasure meeting you. And it's been interesting. I've been wanting to know some of that stuff, which you've helped fill in some blanks for me. So I appreciate it, and thanks again.
Thanks for your time.
All right, thanks, Mitch.
Thanks, Peter. See you. Bye.
Bye.